Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show where we make it easy for you to connect with the people of Ponchatoula. I'm your host, Parker Layrisson, and today we've got a really fun show planned for you. It's one of my favorite topics in the world, the Crew of Erin and their upcoming Celtic Heritage Festival, and a wonderful ambassador of the Crew of Erin, Miss Nicole LeJuene, who's here. You can tell by the crown she's a queen. She's a queen of sorts. She is essentially the queen mother. Her daughter, Maddie Kiss, is the Miss Queen or young kind of traditional queen. And Nicole is here to share with us not just information about her family, herself, and her daughter, but also this upcoming festival. So with no further ado, Nicole, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Parker. Thank you for letting me come.
I'm really excited to have you here. Why don't we kick things off with you telling our listeners and our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born here in Hammond, but I was raised in Springfield. My family we're a Christian family. My father just recently died. Well,
I'm sorry for your loss.
But it was a wonderful childhood. I have great parents, great siblings, two brothers, one sister.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have so many friends that was just right down the road, running back and forth. We had a great childhood.
Well, what a blessing, and I'm really sorry for your loss. When you're blessed with a good daddy, as you were, there's just no easy way to go through that earth-shattering, passing. Anyway, I'm glad for you that you had him in your life and you had this wonderful childhood you just described, and sad for you that you and your family are going through that. And there's nothing more powerful than to be a Christian in a time like that and know that he's in a better place. So thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate you opening up on that. You mentioned it was fun, and you tell us about that if you wouldn't mind. Whether you want to talk about your siblings or friends you played with, but what were you into growing up? I would assume kind of as a country girl, because Springfield, growing up now, when we were kids, it was far less populated. What was life like out there?
Well, my sister, she was older than me, and she'd always try to run away from me because I was a little bratty sister. So I used to hang around with my brothers and their friends, Mickey Cox and Gary Traylor, Ricky Alden, and my brothers Rocky and Daniel. I used to hang around them and all their sisters, and we used to go swimming in the Natalbany River at the Cypress Tree. Just go swimming there, running up and down the banks and stuff like that, and it just I had friends that was in pageants and stuff like that. So I mean, I did girly stuff, and I was in clubs in the high school, and go to dances and stuff. So it was just a normal childhood, and I didn't know how much I missed high school until I got out, and I really did miss my friends.
I feel the same way. We recently had my 30-year reunion, and it was a beautiful event. My friends Samantha Stone and Kelly Brandon and several others that volunteered to help them. They put together a beautiful reunion at the old Principal Willard Butler House, which became the State Representative Steve Pugh House, which is now Strawberry Manor on Highway 51.
Yeah, Maddie
so you know how beautiful that place is.
It is.
But my point is, you see these folks you haven't seen, for me, in some case, a decade or more, some at the last reunion, some who missed it and much longer. But it reminds you what a strong connection you had. And even though 20 or even 30 years have passed since you've really connected with some of these folks, it comes back like that.
It does.
And my best friend Will and I went to lunch last week with a buddy that we saw at reunion that I don't know that I've ever been to lunch with in my life since the schoolyard cafeteria. But man, we picked up like no time had passed, and we're all middle-aged men now with gray hair or no hair, and it was a lot of fun. So I thank you for mentioning that. As we're on the topic of kind of great moments in life and positive influences, you mentioned your friends, and I heard some names that jumped out at me of families that my dad and mom always really respected, the Coxes and the Trailers and the Albert.
Yeah.
While I may not know your friends directly, I bet I know cousins and uncles and aunts and whatnot. let me ask you about the Crew of Aaron, because I remember this as such a positive organization that was really designed, as I understand it, to bring positive influences and positive connection into the lives of young women. One of my great heroes in life, Brian McMahon, and his wife, Miss Terry Ann,
Yeah.
I should say two of my great heroes in life. They were I grew up friends with their son, Brendan, and they were a block away. We'd spend the night at their house sometimes. And as I recall, they noticed, hey, there's a lot to do for the little boys. Brendan is playing baseball or soccer with, then Wesley, now Mayor Daniels, then, Bree, now Chief Layrisson, and myself and others. The girls didn't have as much opportunity, so they created the Crew of Aaron, and all these wonderful people from the community, from, Crazy Dave to King Philip and many others, would put on tuxedos and hold events, and the girls would, it was an academic element to it. There were scholarships involved. There was social. So I guess it's a very long-winded way, and forgive me for being so roundabout,
That's
but
okay.
how did this come into your life? And for people that have never heard of the Crew of Aaron, would you mind telling us what it is, and how you and your daughter and your family have come to play such a big part?
Well, really, it was by accident. My sister and Maddie was younger. We went antique shopping. And so we were just walking, and my sister was like, we got to get something to eat. So we were walking by, and at the time they were having I guess their coordination of their queens. And my sister said, I smell food. And you could go in there, and I'm looking at her, and she's shaking her head. Yeah, you can go in there and get this wonderful Irish meal. And so I saw all the queens, and Madison, she was young, and I'm like, how are these little girls getting queens? And one of the ladies there started telling me about it, and I'm like, I'm gonna put Madison in that, because Madison, she is the queen of the Celtic Queen, the Miss Celtic Queen, but she started out small with the Crew of Aaron as the princess, and then made her way up through the years, and then she was the Miss the Queen of Aaron, and then she's the Celtic Queen. But to see her grow and to become the wonderful young lady that she is now, she did very well, and it made such an impact. The Christian values that this group has, wonderful people, wonderful ladies, wonderful girls, and now with the Celtic crew, we have squires, wonderful young men.
That's really neat. It sounds like it's played a big part in your daughter's life and in yours.
It has.
It just fits a need that young women have, which is to have positive influences and support, and also something where they can channel their own energies and creativities and dreams, and have that something productive and forward moving. So that's really neat. Well, if you don't mind, let's talk about what's coming up with the crew, because as I understand it, we're only a couple weeks away from the Celtic Heritage Festival. Would you mind telling us about that? What that big event is, the kind of who and where, what, all that?
Saturday, September 20th, from 9 to 7, we are having our Celtic Heritage Festival. And it's going to be wonderful. We're going to have visiting queens, so you can meet visiting queens, and we're going to have the little is it Highland cow? The little mini Highland cows. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for that. And we're going to have all kinds.
And the kids can pet them and kind of play with them, as I recall, right?
I think so. Yes, I know I am. I know I am. Trying to bring them home.
That's really neat.
We're going to have band, and it's just going to be family oriented, and there's going to have a children's zone, and it's just going to be a wonderful day. It's family oriented, Christian oriented, and so I hope that everyone can make it out. It'll be something great to do, and be able to spend time with your family.
Yeah, I tell you what, I brought my boys to the event last year, and we had a blast. There were a ton of fun little events for them. There was delicious food, and then things you don't see every day, like these special, like the special livestock that you mentioned. It's just not the same shape and size we're accustomed to seeing here in Tangipahoa Parish. It's kind of like something you might see in a movie or TV, in the grassy knolls of Ireland or whatever. So it's a cool deal. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now I understand there's also going to be something, and I want to thank our producer Danny Lynn Dennis, who has put up a link here, folks. So if you can see that there, if you go to the comments on Facebook, you can easily click through on the link and get to the Celtic Heritage Festival website and Facebook page rather, and then they'll show you all about that. But I understand one of the main events at the festival this year is going to be something that's greatly important. It's the silent auction.
Yes.
And silent auction is something you see this at a lot of events to raise money. And normally it just would go to whatever the event is supporting. But this year, it's my understanding that one of the families that's played one of the largest roles in the thing, the O'Malley family, I think they've had two queens, right? Molly
Yes.
and Megan.
Molly and Megan, yes.
Yeah, and sadly they were the victims of arson and lost
Yes.
their home. Is that right?
Yes.
And so, am I right in understanding that the proceeds of the silent auction will go to the O'Malley family to offset this tragedy that they've been through? Is that right?
That's correct. Yes,
Okay.
they lost everything.
That's
they were, arson.
Mm.
They
So,
even
folks,
lost their pet.
Yeah. I can't imagine, my mother-in-law and father-in-law had their house burned before I met my wife. And I just hear not just of the things that you need, from clothing to whatever, all the necessities in life, but to the things you can't get back, like photographs and family heirloom and whatnot. It's really tough. I've seen close friends like my buddy Mike Williams go through that. He and Emily, I know it's just tough. And so my heart goes out to them. I can tell you that my law firm is going to be participating in that and sponsoring that, or donating to that rather. And I would ask anybody out there who can, there are multiple ways to help. You can buy something at the auction. You can donate to the auction. You can presumably make a cash donation that the crew will pack forward to the O'Malleys. Just, if you would, do what you can. One thing I love about Ponchatoula, we're a community that comes together for people in need,
right,
to do for others. And this is a family that's been doing that for others for years, helping people through the Crew of Aaron and other things. So thank you for sharing that. Let me ask you something, Nicole. I mean, you clearly have a heart for this kind of service, getting out there. When I look at, for example, the Facebook page, I see pictures of you going all over doing things for the crew, for the community. Where does that come from? Is that something you learned from your parents? Is that something you picked up from a friend along the way? Did God just speak to your heart directly and inspire you? But where does that motivation come from?
Everything that I do, it comes from God.
Amen.
I have total faith, and this is something that some people don't understand about me. I don't worry about anything. I don't worry about anything at all. I give it to God, and I don't pick it back up. Because if you give something to God and then you take it back, you're like, I don't think you can handle that. I give it to Him and I say, take this from me. And it has never failed me, ever.
Wow.
He takes care of me, and I don't even have to worry about it. That's when I'm praying. My mother's been in the hospital for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, take this burden of the insurance and everything that we're dealing with. And He handles it. And
Wow.
people are like, I just don't understand how you could do. You need gas in your car, Nicole. So leave it to the Lord. I'm like, dude, He always takes care of me. That's the faith you got to have. And it's just rock solid with me.
Well, it's inspiring, and that exact message is one that I'm taught through the cancer care ministry that I volunteer with to share with our patients. But it's so much easier said than done, right? I mean, it's always easy to say that from the abstract when, you're feeling good and your bank account's full and there's gas in the tank and food on the plate. But to hear that you're able to kind of live that way with that strength and conviction in all times, that's really inspiring. Well, tell us about what it's like when you're out there wearing a crown as an ambassador of the crew. What have you learned through this experience, and what's it been like? How does it feel, and what's it like out there? participating?
I love it. I've always wanted to be a queen, but the opportunity came up and I wanted to make a difference. And as you had said, you were talking about just a few minutes ago about with the cancer. I wanted to let people know that I had two kind of cancers. I beat them. I had to have brain surgery,
Whoa.
and I went through that. I had multiple sclerosis. I don't let that stop me. Um, and it's just something is thrown at me, and I just go with it. You, as they say with multiple sclerosis, it's not what you see on the outside; it's the brain on the inside. But
Mhm.
I don't let anything stop me. I don't let it stop me, and I don't want people to define me by what I've got. And I want people that know, look, she's got this. She had brain surgery.
Brain surgery.
I'm
Whoa.
up, and I'm making sure that people know about the Celtic Festival,
Hmm.
the crew of Aaron, and what good people they are, and how good Ponchatoula is. We
Yeah.
have
Well,
good people. We do have good people around here.
you're right. We do. And sometimes, when you go to an event like this, one of the parts of it I love is that I'm always reminded that, it's easy to get caught up in your day to day. And for me, that's getting the kid to and from school and then karate practice. And then, maybe Wednesday night at the Baptist church for the youth event or whatever life holds. And you get busy and you get sometimes pulled away from, like you mentioned earlier with the high school thing, all these great people you grew up with. When you're in high school, it's easy to know Ponchatoula is filled with great people because
Yeah.
you're constantly seeing them on Friday nights at the football games. You see all the adults and parents and fans come out during the week. You see your classmates and others, and you just remember this is a big old community full of all
Yeah.
kinds. But when you get into your little world of work is
Yeah.
here and home is here and life in between gets tight, you forget. But I came out and I think I saw Brad Michelli volunteer. Maybe his daughter was one of the
Yeah.
queens and his
Brand
lovely
new.
wife. And he
Yeah.
was Mr. PHS a few years ahead of me. And, we've been friends. And, heck, he was one of my teenage, heroes, if you will. Just a great guy that I always admired. And it's like, dang it, I hadn't seen that guy in a decade. Sure enough, man, that's cool. And I'm like, well, if he's into the crew of Aaron and if his daughter's doing it,
Yeah.
this program must be with it because he wouldn't trust
Yeah.
precious little girl to anything less than the best. And
Yeah.
it's a neat thing. What do people perhaps misunderstand about pageant life, crew of Aaron, festivals like this? Is there anything you think people might not be getting that, myths we want to put to bed or just misunderstandings we want to lay to rest? Or do you think has everywhere you've gone, people kind of understand who y'all are, what you do, and what you're about?
I don't think that there's any myths about the crew of Aaron or the Celtic. Um, the girls with the crew of Aaron, they go by their intellect or papers that they do. That was how it was
Right.
before.
Yeah, they
Not
have an
just,
essay competition, as I
yes,
recall.
essay.
Right?
Yes.
That's always been a core component.
Yes.
Probably going to the fact that they were founded by educator and Miss Terry Ann and a
Yeah.
newspaperman and Brian. But I think that's great. They're not just a bunch of pretty faces; they got brains.
Well, the Celtic was a festival though.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, it was a pageant. So I won a pageant.
okay. So
So
clear that up for me a little bit because I might be confusing here. Crew of Aaron, the Celtic Heritage
yes,
Festival.
they're two different ones
They
in the
both
same
have their
umbrella.
own royalty. Those are separate courts, if you will, or
Yes, they're
okay,
separate courts, but we're together. I mean,
okay,
we're like sisters.
gotcha.
Yeah, we're like sisters, but two
Yeah,
different.
and just like real sisters, some are into school a little more, and some are into hair and makeup a little more. And they share the same, good values that mom and dad taught them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. I like that. What let me ask you this: if when you think of yourself and your journey from the little girl you described that was born in Hammond and grew up in Springfield, playing in the river, all that, to where you are to now, successful mom. who's overcome some of life's real hardships. I mean, what you described earlier was a bit of a modern day book of Job, if you will, in terms of medical maladies and problems. Um, to a young person, a young girl who facing her own challenges in life, and we all have them, rich or poor, ugly, pretty, everybody's got challenges in life. What advice might you give them based on the wisdom you have now and the life experience you have now that you didn't have when you were a little girl? Like, what might you say to a little girl who's facing a challenging time, whether it be a bully at school, problems with grades, boyfriend just dumped them, whatever might have them bluesy in the world? What would you give them?
I'm glad you brought that up because I was bullied in school. I was bullied in school a lot, and bullying, no matter how old you are, it does make a mark on your
Yeah.
life, and it travels you. Yeah, people say, "Well, get over it." You forgive those people, but it still makes an impact on how you feel about yourself, your self worth, and it goes. I was taller than everybody in school. And so, I was, kind of, I didn't date anybody from my school. But I had my hopes and
Well, I
dreams
was the
about it.
shortest boy in my class, so we kind of would have been a big mismatch there.
Yeah. I won a scholarship. I won the American Legion Scholarship from Springfield to go to Southeastern. And I went to Southeastern for law. I was going to be a lawyer. But then I started hanging around some sorority sisters, and I kind of lost my scholarship. But I did. I never gave up on school, and I am a graduate of Our Lady Lake College in Baton Rouge. So I do have,
Congratulations. That's outstanding.
and I do work with home health and hospice patients.
Oh, wow.
So that's a big part of my life that I deal with and help people like that. But don't give up. Don't let,
Yeah.
for the girls out there, don't let anybody put you down to where you tear yourself down, because you are what makes your destiny. You can be anything you want to be with God in your life. Continue to grow. Just push the haters away
Yeah.
and make your best life, because it's going to be you that's in charge of your life with God. Just do your best. Never
That's
give up.
that's powerful stuff. I might have to. I asked this question and framed it for girls, but I might have to play this for my little boys later too, because that's inspirational wherever you're sitting, and really not just across genders, but across ages too.
Yeah.
You can be a gray beard 48 like me, and still draw from that wisdom. I thank you for sharing that. I know your time is valuable, and I promise to get you out of here at a reasonable time tonight. So, before we head toward wrapping up here, is there anything else we haven't covered? Either something we missed about the upcoming festival, something that's on your heart, anything on your mind, just anything at all you want to cover before we go?
It's just going to be really great. We're going to have Irish dancers and Scottish dancers, and we're going to have the Boston Street band, the Kaylee band.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have North Shore Strings and Fiddle Camp. It's going to be a great day for family, and it's going to make memories. And you want to make memories because you, you never know when it's your time and the Lord wants you. So make memories, spend time with your family, and love as much as you can. And forgive
Amen.
often. Forgive often.
Amen to that. Well said. I don't know that you said a single thing I disagree with there. That was all wonderful. I'm going to put back up here on the screen again our link that Danny Lynn, our producer, was kind enough to share. And again, I'll repeat the time and date. We're talking 2 Saturdays. Saturday, September 20th. I believe the festival begins at 9 a.m. and it
9
runs
to
to
7.
9 to 7. So a good full day. And folks, as she mentioned at the top of the interview, that pretty much gets you home about in time to make the football game. So unless you're going to the LSU, if you're heading to the LSU game, you still got plenty of time to party with us here before you leave.
Certainly do. Yes, a
Southeast,
baby
I don't know
cow.
if
Have a
one of their
great day.
games. That's a big one too. That might be homecoming weekend. But there's plenty of time to do this and that. And so for me, I know I have time to hit the festival before I go watch the Tigers play with my dad. But I just want to thank you. You guys do such a good job, Nicole. You and the other volunteers on your committee that help run these crews. I've been involved with y'all for several years as a sponsor, as somebody interviewing you on the show, and as somebody who attends the event with my kids and has seen my little 7 and 9-year-olds have a blast. So, folks, if you're listening at home or watching at home and you haven't done this and you're on the fence, just go for it. It's a great time. I assume we didn't mention location. I assume it's still at Kiwanis Park, right?
Yes, it is. And
So,
for the ones who don't know, that's right next to the Harry McNeely and Son Funeral Home in Ponchatoula.
Right. In between, I guess that's 7th Street and 6th Street, fronted by Magnolia. And beautiful part of town, plenty of shades, big old 200-year-old oak trees. It's about as great a venue as you can get.
Yeah.
Strawberry Festival was small. That would be where we'd probably have it just because it's the prettiest park in town. But thank you all. Nicole, I appreciate your time. To all of our viewers who stuck with us.
Thank you so much.
We thank you all. Y'all have a great week. And we'll be back next week, same time, Ponchatoula Live.